There's never been a better time to have SiriusXM. With over 140 channels in your vehicle, your all-access trial includes more than ever before to enjoy online, on your phone, or at home. Create your own ad-free personalized stations powered by Pandora. Hear ad-free extra channels and enjoy favorite shows with SiriusXM Video on Demand. What you love is on now.
Hey guys, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in to another lunchtime learning session here on CMA Connected, presented by SiriusXM. And on today's episode, we're going to continue down the path of enlightenment when it comes to Mosconi and Mosconi DSP. We started this journey on a part one where we had Grant McFatter from Trends Electronics along with Nick Wingate, who joined us on part one and kind of walked us through the basic menus. But now on this session, we're going to dive a little bit deeper. We're going to unravel the package and peel away a couple more layers and go deeper into the different functionalities and options that you'll find on the, I believe Nick referred to it as the disk program from Mosconi. So we're going to go ahead and get this party started and get my friend Grant on with us immediately so we can get into this learning session. What's going on, Grant?
Mr. Ben, good morning, sir. Good afternoon.
Yeah, I do apologize a little bit about my delay and resolution today. We have a big thunderstorm coming through, but that should not affect at all the quality of the presentation we're going to have from Nick today as we continue on part two of this DSP training we've set up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, digging a little deeper into the product. So we've had good response so far on the last session. We've had a few guys inquire and a lot more guys looking to dig into this deeper session. So let's get it going.
You know, before we just one last comment that I had, you know, when you first initially set this up, Grant, you know, you were saying that you wanted to demystify the complexities, and you know, a lot of people are still hesitant, if not, you know, they shy away a little bit from DSP. I really feel I watched back that first episode. I think Nick did a really good job of kind of laying out the basics where everything is and how everything is there for you. So I'm curious as to how deep he's going to go today.
Yeah, and I think that's the whole goal of the two sessions when we talked about this initially was demystifying or taking some of the fear out of DSP products, because there's nothing really scary about it. I've got a few slides I'm gonna talk about at the end. You asked me to kind of wrap it up, so I've got a few slides at the end that maybe I'll put it in some layman terms that people will get, because I have a home audio background as well when I did retail, so I'll share that later on.
All right, looking forward to seeing you connect those dots. Well, without further ado, let's get back down to the big old state/country of Texas, where our friend Nick Wingate will be joining us. What's going on, Nick?
Good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you may be. Thank you for having me, Ben. Good afternoon. Hey, Grant, how you been?
Good, man. I'm liking that stash, buddy. It looks good.
Yeah, about that stash this whole morning. Nick, you kind of left us on a cliffhanger as per our last session together. You kind of, you know, got everybody's appetite wet and opened up the first layer. Are you going to dive deep with us today?
Ready when you are, sir. I've got a big shovel. We'll dig as deep as you want to go.
Oh, Texas eye shovel, I hope.
It's in the garage. I can go get it real quick if we need to.
I don't think we need that. That will be unnecessary. But why don't you go ahead and start this presentation up so I can share it on the screen, and we won't waste any time and get right into it.
All right. Okay. All right. Can everybody see the graphic user interface?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the last time, if memory serves, we had gotten to the filters and how to set up a high pass, a band pass, or a low pass. That's a fairly simple part of this, and it's a necessary part, obviously. But when we are talking about problem solving, this is where this section comes into play, especially when we're talking about resonances that indoors, or we have a standing wave, or we have a rise in our frequency response, which we really don't understand why it's there. There's an awful lot of tools right here in the filter section that you can use that will help remedy those problems. Now, obviously, you know, we have a high pass and we have a band pass, a low pass, and if we combine them, we get a low pass, we get a band pass. Okay, but these other filters, which we're looking at right here, such as what is known as a high shelf or a low shelf. There's two of them. There's a high shelf and there's a low shelf. Okay. Now, shelving, all this is it allows you to choose a frequency, such as in this particular instance, I'm going to change this from 1,000 hertz and I'm going to go to 5,000. Okay. And when you're tuning the car and you're running full range pink noise and you're looking at your high frequency response, a lot of times you'll find that the car has a tendency to roll off high frequencies. A lot of vehicles there, and what's going on is either the off axis response of the speaker is not very good above a certain frequency, or it could be a simple fact that there's some surfaces in the car that are absorbing frequencies. It happens. So instead of going into the EQ section and boosting everything in the EQ, which you really don't want to do because that causes phase shifts to take place, you can use what is known as a high shelf. So for instance, if we have a response from 5,000 hertz and up, let's say all the way out to 20,000, that has a gradual 6 dB roll off, let's say from 5,000 hertz to 10,000, and then from 10,000 to 20,000 rolls off another 6. What you can do is say, okay, from 5,000 hertz, and I'm going to type it in again, and up above that frequency, I'm going to raise it 6 dB. Now that will raise every frequency from 5,000 hertz and up 6 dB. Now there's going to be that roll off we talked about, and it'll be there. So from 5,000 hertz to about 10,000 hertz, we're flat, and it doesn't affect phase. That's the beauty of this. It affects the output or amplitude, but it doesn't affect phase. Okay. Now, in the opposite end as well, if you have, let's say, if you have a problem from, let's say, 15,000 hertz down to, let's say, 5,000, we have too much energy. Let's say we are up 6 dB. So instead of 5,000 hertz, you would type in 15,000 and you would lower it 6 dB. That's the beauty of these shelves. You can do that. And that's the beauty of it. And the same thing goes for the low shelf. The shelving means that all we're doing is we're turning things down or we're turning things up from this point, the low shelf and the high shelf. If in the low shelf, I've got a mid-bass bloom, let's say from 400 hertz down to 150 hertz. And let's say it's 6 dB. So I would just say, okay, so from 400 hertz and down, I need to turn it down 6 dB. It's that simple. It really and truly is that simple. But it's a very, very powerful tool. And you can combine these. You may need a high shelf. You may need a low shelf. You may need it only on the right, or you may need it only on the left, or you may need it on both channels. That's the reason this is separated right here. If you need one, and let's just say, for instance, we need a low shelf in the left-hand mid-bass driver, and I'm just giving you, for instance, don't worry about that crossover. But I don't need that in my right speaker. But in my right speaker, I need a high, let's say I need a high shelf. And I got a frequency and I need to boost it. You can do that. You know, you've got two very, very powerful tools right here. And I use these all the time. Okay. Another thing that you can do in this is you can literally raise your subwoofer output. Okay. For instance, let's do this. I'm going to go to the subwoofer section. I'm going to build a low pass, 24 dB per octave slope. And we're going to make it 80 hertz for both of them. Okay. Now, from 80 hertz and down, our sub bass is playing. And at this particular point, if we are at the point where we're actually going to be tuning the car for level output, a lot of times you're going to want to go over to level right here, and you're going to raise it up, or you're going to raise it with the remote volume control. Well, when you do that and you start turning things up, remember, it's not just 80 hertz and down. You're affecting 100 hertz, 120 hertz, 163 hertz, and 200 hertz. And it's going to affect the phase alignment between the mid-bass driver and the sub. Now, we've done a lot of work to get that particular point. We've done our delays, and we set our levels, and we've got a relatively flat line. But you want to raise the sub-bass level. Well, that's a real easy thing to do. Is all you do then is you build a low pass, and my stomach is really bothering me right now, and Grant and Ben know why. So you guys just bear with me for just a minute. My mistake. We're going to build what is known as a low shelf, and I'm going to make it 80 hertz. And let's say I want 5 dB of boost on my sub. So from 80 hertz and down, I just raised everything from 80 hertz to 20 hertz, 5 dB. But anything above 80 hertz did not get raised. So our phasing does not shift and change. Ben, do you understand what I'm talking about? Or did we lose Ben? Grant, are you still here?
I'm still there. Yeah, I'm still here.
You understand what I'm talking about?
Yep. No, that was well explained. Well explained.
Okay. I want to be sure. So you can do this with any frequency you want to, any range of frequencies you want to. You can make this work. You can do this. Okay. Now, another part of this that I really like is a notch filter. Now, a notch filter is basically we are going to be cutting frequencies. Okay. So, for instance, let's just say we run a sine sweep in a mid-bass with a mid-bass driver in the door. We've done everything we can to damp the door correctly, but we still have something going on. Let's say a lot of times I find that to be around the 180 to 200 hertz range. Okay. And you can't get rid of it. It's there. We've got this really nasty 10 dB peak and let's say 180 hertz. Okay. So what you do is you go to your notch filter and you're going to type in 180 hertz because you run your tone generator and you found the exact frequency. And you notice it says bandwidth. Okay. So this is where you can literally dial in how much energy either side of 180 hertz is actually resonating in that door. Okay. So once you do this and you select this and turn this on, it's on, and it just killed it by 30 dB. It literally it's like taking an EQ slider and turning it all the way down. Now, right now, we are only affecting 179 hertz to 181 hertz. And a lot of times that doesn't do it. It's still there. You can hear it. And if it is, do this. Start raising it. Just click on that slider and raise it until it literally goes away. And it will go away. It will become a null. It will just flat go away. Instead of having to figure out what's resonating and trying to find it. No, just use a notch filter. And again, if you've got it in both doors, transfer it over. If not, the other door, we may have a problem. It may not be 180 hertz. It may be a 190 or 210 or 140. So that means you could go in here and change this out as well. That's how powerful this is. And this works in doors, mid-ranges, high-frequency drivers. Believe it or not, sometimes a tweeter will reflect off of the dash or reflect off the windshield, and you get this really nasty spike with a tweeter. Let's say we've got a tweeter. I'm going to change it because normally I've got my tweeters if I'm going fully active out of channels 1 and 2. And so what I will do is if I find this nasty reflection on, it's happening at 10,500 hertz, which a lot of times that's what it is. That's just experience. I'm just telling you, experience tells me this. Okay. And I'm going to turn it down. Yes, I know. And I'm going to go start looking for it. And, it won't be 100 hertz, I promise you. You just turn it down until you find what you're looking for. And might be more than likely it's going to be the left and the right. This is how powerful this tool is. So remember, it's there. It's there for you to use. It does not affect phase in any way, shape, or form using these filters as well.
I have a question for you, Nick.
Yes, sir.
Is phase a real concern when it comes to playing with filters?
Yes. Phase is everything when it comes to car audio. Ben, we've got so many surfaces in the car in which they are reflecting. It may be refracting. It may be absorbing. And when that happens, it affects the phase of everything in the car. And especially we're going to get into this in just a minute, this part of it. But phase is everything. And this entire section right here, this filter section, is the single most powerful part of this program right here. You have so much power, so much you have the ability to correct problems here. It literally, when you get out of this and then you do your delay and you do your level settings, you should be done. You really shouldn't have to get into the main EQs and do a whole heck of a lot. Okay. So the next part of this,
I think one of the things that Nick said at the beginning is like, this is a very, very, very powerful tool. And this is, like there's so much stuff in this software to deal with. And just imagine it as a big, massive toolbox. You might not need every size of ratchet or wrench in your toolbox that day, but it's there if you need it. And that's exactly what this is. We have pretty much anything you need in this toolbox. It's a matter of whether you need it or not.
I was just focusing on every adjustment that Nick had made through the filter settings. He was always referring to the fact that phase will not shift, or phase will stay, and that's important because a lot of people are scared of that, the phase thing, because that can just totally mess you up. So therefore, they don't touch going deeper into this section. But it seems like Mosconi's done the work.
They have. They really have. Obviously, somebody is a recording engineer, and I think they've also got somebody that probably has a PhD in acoustics that's working with this, because I've got a couple of friends who have that degree, and they've seen this, and they're telling me this is the way it should be done.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Noted. Okay.
Now you're going to notice also that you see if we don't need a notch filter, I'm going to kill this. Okay. And let's just say we have built a bandpass 24 dB per octave slope either side. Okay. So that means that right now we have the ability to use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 additional filters in nothing but EQ. Well, what in the world is an EQ filter doing in the crossover? Well, when you are tuning a system, and those of you who have had my tuning classes, you know how I am about EQing and setting the levels of every individual speaker in the car before you do any delay work or anything else. And this right here allows you to EQ each individual driver in the car. For instance, like this is a mid-range, okay? And we are going to be looking at our RTA, and we're playing full range pink noise, and we notice that we have some issues. We notice that in the mid-range, 375 hertz or 400 hertz is a big, huge pain in the butt. It's got this 8 dB spike, Okay. So instead of going here into the main EQ, which I really don't want to do, you stay here. And I'm just going to EQ the left mid-range only. Okay. So here's 400 hertz. We've already got it set. And then remember, we had a ton of gain in it. So you just turn this down. Okay. Now you've noticed all of a sudden that we've turned not only 400 hertz down, but we also turned 315 and we turned 500 down, which we did not want to do. So that means that we've got it to the point where it's affecting too much energy either side of 400 hertz, which means we have to increase what is known as the Q, or how much energy it is affecting. So every time that you go up in value, you are narrowing the amount of information in which we are affecting either side of 400 hertz. In this particular instance, I went from a Q of what is known as from a Q of 4 to a Q of 12, which narrows the information significantly. And when we've done that, we've noticed on the RTA that 315 and 500 went back to normal, to where we were looking at it before we started playing with this.
Is that always the fix? Playing with the Q?
Yes, it's always the fix.
Okay.
I will start with the Q of 4, Ben, and if it starts to where I'm noticing it's affecting too much information, I will double it. I'll go from 4 to 8, then 8 to 16.
So as you double, basically this is what happens, right? As far as the impact outside of that frequency.
That's correct.
Gotcha.
It will start narrowing it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so you've got these additional 5 to play with. And in a mid-bass driver, when we're affecting 80 hertz to probably 300 hertz, this is extremely powerful. You can literally get a flat line right here with this.
With every driver.
With every single solitaire. Yes, you can do it. You know, if you've got, let's say you've got a rise in the mid-bass from, let's say, 200 hertz to 315 hertz, your crossover is 400. You know, you've got a big problem here. This is where the wide Q comes into play. So if we've got a rise, let's say, I'm going to say from 315 to 160. Okay, and it's a gradual rise, but in the middle between 315 and 160 is about 225 hertz. So I'm going to type in 225 hertz.
That's what you're going to attack right there.
And that's where you're going to work on it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want it to be just 220 hertz or just a little bit of either side of it. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to do a Q of what is 1, which means that I'm now affecting an octave.
Oh, at 1, it's wide enough to affect the entire octave.
Exactly. I can do a Q of 0.5, which is extremely wide. That's beyond or I can do a Q of 40, which is the exact frequency. And I can do it anywhere in between this. I can type in 39.5 here if I wanted to.
Is that range specific to just the Mosconi software, or everything is 1 to 40? Okay.
No, I don't know if it's specific to this one, because I haven't seen everybody's software, but I know that this is not common. It's not commonplace because of, you know, we can all change the Q factors. I don't know if everybody's goes to a Q of 40.
Mm-hmm.
That I don't know. But I know that this one does, and I will tell you that it is extremely powerful, because what you can do is you can turn this down and then you start playing with this, and it's amazing what happens. You literally can dial in the shape of the curve you're looking for utilizing your RTA and pink noise. Okay? Mm-hmm. If you have a dip in the curve, Ben, what do you do?
If you have, now you're quizzing me. You see how he's doing that,
Brett? You see if you're paying attention.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to pay attention. So if you have a dip in the curve, which is the reverse of what you just went through.
Yep.
Before you said you had a spike in the curve.
Right.
I would presume it's the opposite of what you just did.
No.
It's
you
not?
turn everything else down to match it.
Oh.
You never
go up to it?
Ever. This is something I have learned from recording engineers. Never, ever turn anything up. Turn everything else down around it.
Sorry,
to
I'm
match.
going to stop you there for a second. You're saying instead of bringing the left side and the right side up to go match it, you're saying bring it down at the furthest point of the dip to match it?
Yep.
Okay, that's not. I guarantee you, people listening, I can't be the only one to not have known that. Please tell me I'm not that idiotic. I didn't know that.
No, this
it's a
is
common
something
misconception with EQs is everyone wants to boost an EQ where it's best to.
You're going to visualize this for us, Nick?
Lower everything.
Okay,
I'm just gonna raise this.
Okay.
Or normally somewhere in a car, there are 3 frequencies that raise hell: 200 hertz, 2,500 hertz, and 12,500 hertz. They do, and a lot of people want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
They want to do this right here. Okay. Now, and I've seen this way too much. This is 6.9 dB of input to 12,500 hertz. Here's 7.4 dB, and here's over 8. Here's 8. Now, when you do this, for every 3 dB of gain that you've put on this frequency, you're throwing 100% more amplification power at that one frequency. So here we are at 8. So we're 275% more power at 200 hertz. What's going to happen if you're playing EDM and it hits 200 hertz and it throws 275% more amplification power at that frequency?
Bye-bye, driver.
The speaker's going to do the bacon.
Yeah.
It's goodbye. So
sizzling voice coils.
That's right. This is the reason why you blow drivers, because people do this. And so that's not what you want to do. Okay. So instead, when you have this issue, you do this.
Yeah. Okay.
Or if the tweeter output is just a hair bit too dadgum high, then go over into the level and turn it down.
On the gain.
On the gain.
Mm-hmm.
Turn the mid-range down on the gain to make the mid-bass driver. That's the reason this is here. This level is not here to do this. No.
It actually changes color. Did you see it? It changes color.
Yellow is a bad deal. This means you really don't want to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's the reason why when you got this kind of power right here and you've got these shelvings, use them. That's not going to affect phase. It will affect amplitude, but you only want to use it when you absolutely have to. Okay? It'll work. It works really well. And even with sub-bass output, it works. That's not a problem. But when it comes to equalization, you want to turn everything down. That's the reason why this is here, because you can turn so much down that you can get yourself a flat line. Because before we do any delay work and before we set any levels, I mean, you know, the overall level of the system, you've got to make sure that all of the speakers are all playing at the exact same level, plus or minus about 2 dB.
So could you backtrack one step? So what are the 3 criteria before even getting into time delays? Say that again.
Number 1, you've got to be able to make sure that every single solitary speaker is playing at the exact same level.
Okay.
Okay. That is number 1. That is, I mean, I cannot stress that enough. Okay. 2, you've got to set your crossovers once. And this is the way I do this. If you're going to set your levels first, okay, put a high pass on your tweeter, I don't care what frequency it is, 5,000, 3,000, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Not at
Okay?
this point. Not at this
Not
stage.
at this point. But protect your tweeter. But you want to play the driver's full range. What?
What?
I know. You want to play the driver's full range. I want to see what
Mid-range drivers you're talking about specifically, right?
I'm talking tweeter, mid-range, mid-bass. If you're doing a fully active three-way,
Yep.
play them. Don't run the tweeter full range, but run the mid-range full range, run the mid-bass full range, and see what they're doing. Because if you're going to find out, can that mid-range mate up with the mid-bass driver and where I think it's going to work? Because of off-axis response of the mid-bass to the off-axis response of the mid-range. And guess what? It may not. And you may not be able to pull something off that you think you could.
Interesting.
That's the reason why I do it. I run everything full range. And I will set those levels relatively easily and simply just right here. Turn things down.
Start down. Mm-hmm.
And if you need to do this, to make this to this, and then your mid-bass driver, you may need to turn, the left mid-bass down a little bit because, it's too close to you. Okay. Do that first. These two things, this is what you want to do first, and once you get the level set, then get into these EQ sections and turn the peaks down. Don't worry about the dips. Let's worry about the peaks, because you can hear a peak way faster with your hearing than you can a dip. That's number one. Number two, if there's peaks there, then chances are that amplifier is going to be throwing a ton of power at those peaks. And you're going to start clipping drivers or clipping amplifiers. The voice coils are going to start heating up, and you have a greater chance of blowing your driver. So it's the reason why you turn things down. Does that make sense to everybody?
That makes a lot of sense. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Very cool.
So that's the reason why in all of these filter sections, you see all these EQ bands. That's the reason it's here. So you can make sure that every single solitary speaker that you are working on has the same amount of energy being reproduced at the exact same time. Because if we don't have it all set exactly as close as possible, then I don't care how much delay that you do, it's going to be wrong. Because if you've got too much energy in high frequencies versus the mid-range playing lower, guess what? It's incorrect, because you really and truly want a flat line. Let me show you. Let me turn my frequency chart on. Okay. You want this right here. That's what you're looking for on that RTA screen to start. Now, that's not what we're going to end up with, but that's what you want to start with. Don't worry about this right here, because I got stuff turned down. But you're looking for a relative. It doesn't have to be ruler flat, but 1 or 2 dB of each other. This is what you want to get. And you get it as best you can. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect, but you get it as best you can. And that's why it's so important that you use these sections to get it set up. Okay. Now, the last thing we're going to talk about is this thing called an all-pass filter. Okay. Now, I'm going to let you know what an all-pass filter does. Okay. And then you decide whether you want to go deeper and learn more about it. All right. What all-pass filters do is basically, if you've got a problem in a car, you run a sine sweep from, let's say, 20 to 20,000 hertz, and you hear all of a sudden this frequency that sounds like it's going away. It's a great big null. And then it comes, and you keep going, and all of a sudden all the information comes back. That can be fixed with what is known as an all-pass filter. Okay? Because what happens is from the frequency you choose, either below it or above it, it is going to affect phase, but not amplitude. Does everybody understand what I just said? it affects phase above that frequency. For instance, this is a big one in cars, and again, it's 250 hertz is a pain in the ass right in here, because normally it's the width of a car. A lot of times, this is a huge problem. So if I'm running my sine sweep and I notice that 250 hertz is where I've got my null, I'm going to be handing 250 hertz, 315, 400. Chances are, if it's a three-way, I'm going to hand it off to the mid-range, and the mid-range is going to take over. Well, we're going to have an issue because of the phase problem right there. We've heard it. It's a null. You've got a problem. So you can run what is known as a second order at 250 hertz, and it will correct for it. That's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be doggone close. Okay. If it's above, for me, it's above about 600 hertz. Let's say if I find out that 800 hertz, I have a huge problem. It starts there. Then you're going to do what is known as you're going to run a first order. Okay. This is my
to be honest,
experience.
I've heard these terms and I have never heard explained what those orders mean.
Basically, it's the degrees of phasing that you're working on. You are affecting. For lower frequencies, you want a faster roll off. For higher frequencies, it's a less of a roll off. Quote unquote. That's about as simple as I can explain it. I don't want to go into the math because it is math deep. Okay, like I said, if you want to learn more about it, go take a look online. There's a lot of papers written about all pass filters, and they'll give you an idea about what works and what doesn't work. But I can tell you a lot of times, if you are trying, for instance, if you've got an up mixer like this thing does, and you've got a center channel working, okay, and you're trying to get the left mid range to align to the center channel, you use an all pass filter. What you'll do is you'll run a sine sweep between the mid range, the left mid range, and the center channel only. And you find the null between the two of them, and I guarantee you it's going to be somewhere around 300, 400 hertz, somewhere in there. And you run a second order all pass filter, and it will correct for it, and you don't have to do anything else. And do the opposite on the right-hand side of the car, do the exact same thing. If you find the frequency, run a second order all pass filter at that frequency, it will align those drivers together.
Will they be the same frequency on both sides?
No, they will not.
It would not, eh?
No, it'll be close. From my experience, it'll be close, but it won't be the same thing. That's the reason why you've got left and right.
Individual.
Yep. Okay. So that right here, you can see why this is as powerful as it is. Okay. Now, let me do this. I want everybody to see this real quick before we jump into something else, because we're running out of time.
I got to tell you, got about 5 minute time frame left.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I know everybody wants to know what this is.
Yeah,
okay?
I've been staring at it this whole time.
Okay. Now notice that we have a 24 dB per octave slope high pass filter, 6,300 hertz. Okay, I'm going to build a low pass real quick at 12 dB, and we're going to make it 6,300 hertz. So this is a two-way. All right. Now, these drivers are not in phase with each other exactly because of the slopes we chose. I chose a 12 dB and a 24 dB. They are not perfectly phased with each other. Okay. Now, the way you correct this, and it's real simple, wherever there is a high pass handing off to a low pass, you select the high pass filter. You see where it says HP frequency right here. We're going to correct for the problem right now. It's 6,300 hertz right here. Now, what you do to correct it is you go to the very last filter type and select phase C shifter. Okay. Channel 1 is what we're going to correct to channel 3. Channel 3 is my mid-bass driver. All you do is click on it, and you'll notice that it has shifted phase 355 degrees by using a second-order all-pass filter. It is now corrected. Now all you got to do is go correct the other side, channel 2 to channel 4, and you'll notice now it's not 355, it's 185 degrees. So it's a different second all-pass order filter at 6,000 hertz. That's because of what took place right here.
Oh, it's effective of the other. Okay.
Exactly. They wrote this algorithm, and you can correct it for every single solitary high pass to low pass on every single solitary driver in the car. This makes a huge difference in the way your overall sound in your car ends up being. It's amazing.
Still before delay, though.
Before delay.
Okay, that's the last part of this section, if you will,
Yes.
this stage. Okay, gotcha.
Absolutely. Okay. Now, real quick, I'm going to show everybody something. If I can get it to work. And it looks like it's not going to work for me this morning, and I don't know why. That's strange. Anyway, there is a section in this in which you can access the ability to do time alignment automatically. It requires a measurement microphone, and it also requires an external microphone preamp. And you may set your time alignment basically by running test tones. And this thing will do it for you automatically. It does work. It gets it really, really, really close. It doesn't mean that you're done. No, but it means you're close. And basically how it works is you go into this, you set it up, you turn it on, and you click on the left tweeter. It'll send a test tone to the tweeter, and it measures it and sets the delay automatically. You measure every single solitary speaker in the car individually, and then you click send to DSP, and your time alignment is done. It takes literally 1 minute to do.
Wow.
And I know we're running out of time, so I don't.
There's also a really high-tech tool you can use called a tape measure.
Yes, and you can use a tape measure. You can use a tape measure. You measure it in centimeters. You load it into each individual speaker's category, and it'll do it automatically for you that way as well. And you click send to DSP, and you're done.
And is that the last step, the time alignment?
That's the last step before the main EQ. Yes.
Right. So would you call this the pre-EQ stage?
Yes, this is pre-EQ stage.
Pre-EQ stage. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That was a lot to take in, even though we spent all that time in this one section. But obviously, this one section is very, very powerful and it totally determines the outcome of everything that comes after it.
It does. Everything
100%.
else is easy. Once you get past this stage right here, and you've used every bit of this powerful tool, everything else is easy.
Amazing. All right. I encourage anybody watching, watch this back. There was a lot of information shared right there. Thank you so much, Nick.
Yes, sir.
And thank you, Grant, for taking the time to organize this with Nick and with Mosconi to get these resources out, because at the end of the day, it's about education. And, some of the stuff, you might be a little bit intimidated to check out, but Nick, you're a great teacher, step by step. And I really do appreciate that. The last little session here, we have a dealer that is going to be joining us. We kind of looked into your catalog of or list of dealers that you have, Grant, across country, and we picked one out. We want to hear their opinion on, their experience with the Mosconi brand and working with Trends and all that. And we love to showcase them. So we're going to go all the way to Oakville, Ontario, where there is a shop there by the name of Altered Sound. And there's a gentleman by the name of Dean standing by to come join us. I'm going to go ahead and welcome him to our show. Hey, Dean.
Welcome, guys.
How you doing, man?
Good.
Thanks for taking the time.
It's all branded up. Look at him. It's
That's
all branded up.
Look at that illusion, right? You see that, Nick? Do you have that T-shirt, Nick? You probably do.
Yes, I do. Thank you
Of
for
course
wearing
you
it.
do. Dean, listen. First of all, thanks for taking the time to join us here on CMA Connected. Why don't we start real quick? I kind of let the hat out of the bag. You're in Oakville, Ontario. Why don't you tell us about Altered Sound? How long you've been in business and what you guys specialize in?
Yeah, Altered Sound's been in business for 30 years. Same ownership, same location. We pretty much started it down here in Southern Ontario. We specialize in bikes and car integration.
Car integration, very nice,
yeah.
very cool. So, tell me a little bit. I mean, Mosconi Trends is Mosconi a brand that you have a lot of experience with, that you've been selling and representing for quite some time?
Quite a bit. It's the product is phenomenal. It fits pretty much all our niches and solutions that we need. Give you an example. We're doing a 2018 Indian motorcycle right now, and I have a Pico 810 in there with a Pico 1, and with the compact form factor that they fit perfectly on a bike, and plus with the DSP, being able to control everything, it's a phenomenal unit.
That little Pico gets its way into different places, doesn't it?
Oh, it's a phenomenal piece of equipment.
And you have DSP on top of that, right?
That's
in a bike environment, which is really nice.
That's it. For a motorcycle, you need it.
Now, how about, have you played with some of the bigger amplifiers and the integrated DSPs in car situations?
The Pro 5s we've done, a phenomenal amp. That's the Pro Series is a crazy amp. That's what actually I was going to do. The complete system in my McLaren was going to go full Mosconi, but that's a
Did you say your McLaren?
Yes, my McLaren.
Yeah. You're making too much money.
Where's your McLaren, Grant? Seriously.
Hey, we're a distributor.
Dang.
We don't. There's nobody driving McLarens in our parking lot.
Then you got a 720p?
No, it's a 12C.
12C?
Yeah.
What even fits
it's a nice
in there?
car.
So yeah.
What even fits in there?
What?
Credits
Not much.
condoms.
Not much. Yeah, exactly. Floors up, pennies down, right? But yeah. No, it's there's not much though.
Atomos. That's what's gonna go in there. Yeah, put a little amp rack under the seat.
Another great amp for motorcycles.
Yes.
Excellent.
Atomo.
Great amp. Yep, great amp. We use
How's the power? You happy with the power delivery on them?
For what we use them for, yes. So we'll use a large 4-channel for the uppers and say the uppers and the 6x9s, and then use an Atomo for say the tour pack, the 6.5 for the tour pack.
Because Harley guys, they want it loud, right?
Hey. That's why we're we are the number one. Sorry for this pitch, but we are the number one Focal Harley dealer in Canada. We are in the top 4 in North America. So that's of all of Orca's dealers. We're the top 4 of North America.
Wow.
And so
and you power that by
That's
Mosconi
impressive, man.
amps. That's nice, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Quite a few
really
of our bikes. Quite a few of our bikes have
These guys
all been done
build
Mosconi.
crazy systems in bikes. Like
God love
people with money.
We've already showcased on many occasions your builds on CMA for sure. So we already knew about that. I just wanted to hear it from your voice, from your mouth. What about with trends now? Let's talk a little bit about Grant while he's on.
Okay. So
here we go.
Yeah. Well, actually,
it was going good until now.
Yeah, do you want to talk about the 2 bikes that we did, the 2 inaugural Illusion Audio bikes? We did the first 2 help with Grant. We did the first 2 Illusion Audio motorcycles in North America. So
they use the carbon components, carbon coaxes. Pretty kick-ass. Really well done.
Yeah.
So very nice.
Crazy bikes. Absolutely insane. Yeah.
I got something coming for you.
Yeah. Bring your bike. What do you have?
Yeah, we got something coming for the bike specifically from Illusion Audio.
Yeah.
Yes,
sir. Nice.
Yeah. They should have been here, but the pandemic and crap. So I don't know when they're going to be here, but I know that it will not be much longer.
Cool.
That's good.
Here's my last question for you, Dean, before we let you go. Obviously, it's shop time, right? why would you recommend a brand like Mosconi to other dealers who might not have that in their catalog right now?
There really isn't, there's really nothing out there that fits the solution that Mosconi does, especially the Picos and the Atomos. There's not much out there on the market that can touch it. Especially, and I'll talk about the bikes from a car perspective. Again, unless you're spending $10,000 on an amp, there's nothing that's touching the Pro line either. From a clarity perspective, from a power perspective, from a usability perspective, and a design and engineering perspective, there's nothing out there that can match. If you're putting an M series, Utopia M series in a car, the only thing that you can do to use to power those M series is to go into a Pro series, go into the Mosconi Pro. There really isn't much out on the market, and especially when you take, like, say, a Focal Utopia M or something like that, and you match it, or even the Kevlars, and you match it with a Mosconi Pro, the sound is just so warm. It's perfect. You put anything else on there, any other product, and it becomes either screechy or becomes, it's not as warm. It's not as nice. It's a beautiful.
So it complements high-end drivers really well.
Yeah, it's
Utopia M is one of the highest you can go, so that's a great reference point.
I'm glad we were promoting the Focal line here. It's awesome.
Just to prove that this is not scripted and we don't care. There you go. Perfect example right here.
There's a lot of brands out there that I'm happy to be associated with, and Focal is one of them. It's a great product. If they're using their speakers and our amplifiers, I got no problem.
Well,
with that
I think that's what Dean just said. If a customer is going to buy $10,000 speakers, he's very confident in putting the power behind it in a Mosconi amp. I think that's the takeaway here.
100%.
And let's talk last but not least. I'm really stretching here, but I want to know, what about the DSP side of things with Mosconi? Do you like it? What comments do you have? Do you have any questions for Nick while he's on with us?
Personally, I'm going to be having Nick probably on I'm going to schedule him for a day. I have this Indian motorcycle that we need to do. I don't have too much. Nick, our installer, has the he's the expert on the DSP, but Nick's going to be schedule a day with him to go over this bike on the Pico 810 and start doing it, because there's quite a bit of work to do on that bike to make it sound good. Again, it's full Illusion. We have the Illusion CX5s up front. It's a 2018 Indian Chieftain. So we have Illusion CX5s up front, bi-amped. We have the Illusion C8s out back on bags. And which
8 inches on bags?
Yeah.
Nice.
We got the 8-inch on bags.
That's a lot of bass for a bike.
Well, we're gonna try to play them a little bit more mid bass than
it's the mid bass driver. They're yay deep.
Yeah, they're gorgeous speaker. Reverse magnet, absolutely beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It would be amazing if they had grills for them, but we won't get into that. They're an absolutely amazing driver. It's very cool too, because with the reverse magnet, they look amazing. But and then the bike we have for bass, because the 8-inch Illusions are going to be running mid bass. For bass, we have he has a slim beer box, and we're doing dual Audio Frog 8-inch.
Wow, so it's a really nice complete system.
Yeah, and then that's what the Pico 1 is going to be running, is the dual Audio Frog 8-inch.
All Pico power.
All Pico power. Like I said, I got the 810 in there with the Pico 1 running the subs. So
you see what I'm hearing, Grant, is I'm hearing that these Mosconi amps are kind of running with the top brands out there. It's just, I think,
it's
back in the day, in the early 90s or even before that, or late 80s, when you were I ask a competitor, you had MB Quart speakers, you had Alpine head unit, and you had precision power amplifiers.
Yeah,
there was no winner with one brand systems. You take the best of the best and go with it. So if it's Focal speakers, with a Kenwood hen unit and a Mosconi amplifier and DSP and a JL audio subwoofer, so be it, right? We'd just like to be a little piece of that solution. So
Great.
We're happy to be part of it.
Hey, Dean, anybody you want to shout out to before I let you go?
No, it's all good, man. Like I said, just a Grant and to Trends Electronics, of course. Look, Illusion. After we did the, and Grant, thanks for the help for bringing us Illusion and everything else. But after doing the Illusion bikes, I think our sales have skyrocketed just because we started doing the Illusions, and the clients have had a chance to actually hear them. We still are number one Focal. Focal's our go-to brand for, and I do apologize, Grant, but Focal was our go-to line for bikes. But I think the trend is shifting, and we're starting to move over to starting to do quite a bit of Illusion in bikes now. It's a huge market. And they got the product to do it. The Illusion speakers, I know this is an Illusion spot, and I know it's a Mosconi spot, but still,
I don't think Nick minds.
Yeah. The Illusion.
It's the Orca family. We're okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, we're good, brother.
The Illusion speakers fit beautiful in bikes just because of their low profile. They're absolutely fabulous. And then, like I said, I can't talk enough about the Pico stuff and the Atomo. It's phenomenal stuff. It's great product. It just it's a complete solution.
That's it.
I just want everybody to understand we haven't paid Dean a dime.
No, this honestly, you guys didn't even know.
I paid him
on behalf of
I paid
CMA.
him $50 to
Yeah,
get
right,
it.
you did. Yeah, right, you did. No, this is not a paid advertisement. This is us CMA reaching out to Altered Sound and say, hey, you want to come on the show? So, Dean, can't thank you enough for taking the time, brother. Keep it going with these big builds, and keep on sharing them for you, man. Take care.
Yeah, just give me a call when you're ready, brother.
We're going to be traveling soon, so hope to see you soon, buddy.
Sounds good, man. Thanks, gentlemen. All right, ciao.
Bye-bye.
That guy likes his Illusion and his Picos.
I love his enthusiasm. He just loves audio, period.
And he has a McLaren.
You can tell. And he has a McLaren.
Yeah, I got to talk to him about that because I gave him some deals and he's driving a McLaren. We need to I need to charge more.
Yeah,
maybe you do. Listen, last word, Nick. Any message you have for dealers who have taken the time to watch these last two sessions that you've given graciously your great effort and presentation for us?
Yeah. All thing I can tell you is take your time. If you're new to this, get a unit, get a DSP, and just play with it. Learn what it can do. Learn what it won't do. You'll find out there's not a whole hell of a lot it can't do, but don't be afraid of them. You're not going to blow anything up as long as you don't play it very loud, or you do something really foolish.
Well, if they followed your instruction, they wouldn't blow anything up.
Boosting EQs, you might.
Yeah.
Now,
gain set first. Gain set first.
Yeah, gain set first. Do the -5 and the -10 on the sub, and you'll be fine with your gain overlaps. And put a high pass filter on the tweeter before you get started.
Protect the tweeter. Play everything full range. What I learned.
Yep. Everything full range. And then play them full range, and you're going to find out what's going to play what real quick.
Very, very cool. Nick, we're going to see you soon next week. We got a CMA live going down, audiophile brands. Of course, you're going to be in there with 4 other brands. We're really looking forward to hearing from you then. And on that note, thank you so much for your time as usual, sir.
Take care.
No problem, sir. Appreciate it. Thanks, Grant. Bye-bye. Y'all take care.
Take care now. Mr. McFatter, mission accomplished. We got her done. I thought that was a really nice session there with not only Nick obviously, but Dean coming on from Ultrasound. I think that was some really cool testimonial.
Yeah, nice surprise. There
you go. I'll leave you the last word for anybody who's watching this.
I think if Jay, you want to pull up these slides just real quick. I was thinking about how my kind of closing message. We started off about dealers not wanting to be scared of DSP processors. We have a big offering, as you can see on the screen there, of different products. There's 10 different products currently that we offer, whether it's the 1 series amplifiers with integrated DSP, the Pico products, the standalone Atomo DSP units, or the standalone, aerospace and Pro series processors. A lot to offer. So there's a lot of tools here. You can pick and choose whatever you need to make the system work. But I was thinking about my my retail days, and we used to sell home audio receivers.
Oh
right?
my God, that's bringing me back right there.
And you talk to a consumer, and they'd want to hook this up themselves, and then all I did was turn the back of the receiver around and show them the bottom panel, and it was quickly like, oh, yeah, can you come over and set that up for me? Mm-hmm. So I think this was kind of the best graphic I could think of this morning was how do I relate this to our DSP customers that are scared of DSP. The reality was on these receivers, you might have hooked up a DVD input, a VCR input, maybe a turntable, and there was a whole lot of empty plugs that we didn't use because we didn't need them. And that's kind of the thing with DSP. When the guy looks at this for the first time and goes, Jesus, you know what? And then we show him a slide with more boxes in it, and then we show them another one with a bunch of sliders. They have this effect. I'm terrified of DSP. Can someone else do it for me? Well, like we're talking about the tool side, you don't need everything that's in this toolbox, and then for those guys that have these in their install bays, I kind of thought this was kind of funny too. Guys spend $20,000, $30,000, God, more than that. Some guys on tools, and they might use this section right here, on a daily basis, right?
Yep.
And this is our DSP. We have everything you would possibly want in the toolbox, but we might use this section every single day. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I think. Some dealers look at, the previous screen and go, oh my God. And really all we need is a 10 mil socket set today. Maybe we start off with time alignment only. If you just did your crossover filter setup and time alignment, you would make a massive difference in your audio system. The EQ is what I think.
But the time alignment it's auto.
That's auto, and it's that really specific tool you need called a tape measure. God forbid we know how to use a tape measure,
right?
And click in 36 centimeters on a box.
Yep.
But again, this was kind of the quick graphical representation I could think of. You got this massive toolbox, and you need a 10 mil socket set to get this job done.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think that covers it right there. I put the digits on the bottom. I'll play them again. If you're looking at the Mosconi products, which obviously from the previous slide goes deep on DSP offering and solutions and tools, get a hold of Trends Inc. Call Grant. There's the number. There's the website. There's what you got to do.
What I also want to do real quick is if guys want to put these on the demo board, we'll give you 25% off the dealer cost to get them on your board. Well, we've also got some swag here. We'll throw it your way as well. So anyone that's on the call, we got some T-shirts we'll throw at you. So, let's get you some product on the board.
I need one of those.
What size, buddy?
I need one of those. XL. Send it over.
All right.
XL.
Done deal.
Yeah, perfect.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for.
We'll talk to you soon again. Next Wednesday, audio file.
Yep.
You guys are in there.
Cool.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ben, buddy.
Yep. There you have it, guys. Part 2 of Mosconi DSP with legendary trainer. I love saying that. Legendary trainer Nick Wingate, and of course, our friends at Trends Electronics, Grant McFatter. I want to give a shout out to Dean and the Altered Sound crew for taking the time to join us today and sharing with us a little bit of their insight with and their experience with the brand and the products. And that's it. So we'll be back right here on Friday. Wow, we're already Wednesday. We'll be back here on Friday for another CMA Connected presented by SiriusXM. I'm your host, Ben Wu. Until next time, we connect.